Outside the courtroom, I asked Malcolm X, giving his first television interview, whether the black Muslim prophet is preaching race hatred.
Is there any movie that best describes the life of the legendary black activist other than Malcolm X? Every scene navigates the audience into the stories waiting to be told by the legend. The movie comes with an undeniable inspiration to live a life of impact. The movie certainly inspired you likewise. Within the following 20 facts are locked the struggles that came with filming the movie. Find them out as you watch. Number 20. How Denzel Washington succeeded in the Malcolm X role.
I must emphasize at the outstart that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is not a politician.
That's right.
The biggest star in Malcolm was Denzel Washington. Denzel gave a spectacular performance in the movie and at one point got people confused about differentiating him from the real Malcolm X. How did he achieve that great success? Malcolm X was not the first time Denzel would play the popular civil activist. His first appearance for the role was in the play When the Chicken Comes Home to Roost. The play revealed the relationship between Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad. Upon receiving the invitation for the play, he realized he didn't have deep knowledge of the great civil activist's personality. He grounded himself in investigating Malcolm X's life to overcome this challenging limitation. How did he do this? Firstly, Denzel immersed himself in the personality of Malcolm X by reading the autobiography of Malcolm X. He didn't stop there. He continued by reading books and articles written by Malcolm X and the ones written about him. This book increased his knowledge about the character. Also, he dedicated hours to studying tape and film footage of the great activist, all to absorb himself in the realities of Malcolm X. When Denzel was called upon to execute his role in the play in 1981, he gave a standout performance, earning a warm review from Frank Rich. Frank was a prominent man then, the chief theater critic of the New York Times. Getting good credit from such a personality comes with a lot of positivity. Not long after Denzel's success in the play, he was cast for the highly esteemed movie Malcolm X. He didn't assume he had good background knowledge of the character. Instead, he did more hard work to fit in more perfectly into the character. He did this by interviewing people who knew Malcolm X, including his wife, Betty Shabazz, and his two brothers. Due to their different upbringings, the brothers might not be a perfect fit for Malcolm X's character. However, getting little information helped Denzel improve his knowledge about the legend. Moving on from the interview, Denzel tried to internalize himself, finding things he had in common with his character. Well, he saw a few things in common with the deceased legend. Let's take a good look at it. Denzel was at the same age when Malcolm was assassinated, proving to be perfect timing. Another similarity was that both men were from large families. Also, their fathers were both ministers and were raised by their mother. This similarity created enough space for Denzel to fit into the Malcolm X character. He could see through him and think through him. It is not a surprise that Denzel delivered an exceptional performance in the movie, and everyone was surprised. The role further revealed Denzel's creativity and solidified his success in the movie industry. Number 19. Issue around the movie budget.
His work, welcome. It's about time.
I know you've been trying to get me.
Many of the audience could testify to the movie's excellent production. The characters, the settings, and the cinematography got a big thumbs up. You must know that much sacrifice was made before the excellent work came alive. The most significant and most challenging sacrifice was the finances. Every bar raised to produce a perfect movie equals more cash spent. Spike Lee understands this reality and the challenge waiting ahead if he continues in his decision to make an ideal film that will extensively capture the life of the black legend, Malcolm X. After drawing out his plan, he realized that his budget for the movie would be around $33 million, above $70 in today's worth. The movie budget is high. He will need a strong point to convince financiers. Spike Lee has never had a movie with such a high budget. That would be his first. The significant constraint here is that the earnings of Lee's 5 previous films combined gross less than $100 million. So requesting a substantial sum of $33 million for a single movie will raise the question of how it can measure up to profit. Warner Brothers didn't meet the total budget. They could only offer $20 million and another $8 million from Largo Entertainment for the foreign rights, summing up to $28 million. Spike Lee knew the capital would be insufficient for the movie's production. A fellow director, Francis Ford Coppola, advised Lee to go on in the film and get the company pregnant. When the film gets to the point where more funds are needed, the studio will find means to bring in more money to execute the project. Following the advice, they went on production. Along the line, the budget shot $5 above the available $28 million budget, leading to a significant financial problem. Lee patched up by contributing $2 million of his own $3 million salary, which was not enough. Completion Bond Company took over the financing of the movie production in 1992. They refused to release more funds for the movie. They also compelled Lee to cut the film to 2 hours and 15 minutes, opposing the 3 hours Lee intended. These differences brewed conflict, which led to the project shutting down during post-production. Realizing the big chaos shadowing the movie, which ought to narrate the story of a significant and highly celebrated Black American, fellow blacks rose, pooling in funds to ensure the movie's continuation. Notable among them were Bill Cosby, Oprah Winfrey, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Janet Jackson, Prince, and Peggy Cooper Kaffritz, founder of the Duke Ellington School of the Arts. Most of these prominent people didn't only support the movie with their finances, they also appeared in the film, further giving a stronger reputation for the movie. The donations gave Lee stronger power and confidence to determine the movie's outcome. Later, he could decide the film's duration below 3 hours. Number 18. The video. At the opening speech. Have you ever asked where the video playing around the opening speech comes from? You are about to get the perfect answer. Sit tight. The video is the beating of Rodney King, a taxi driver. The video was followed by public outcry, raising the belief that the maltreatment stems from racism. The incident received a wide response, leading to the popularity of the taxi driver. The video was captured by a bystander, George Holliday. The violent officers from the Los Angeles Police Department didn't know that they were being videotaped and hence continued in their illegal act. Following the public outcry, the police officers were taken in for subsequent trial, but justice was not served. The news that followed the officers' trial was not pleasing. They were acquitted. The acquittal sparked the infamous Los Angeles riots. The riots lasted for several days, starting from the end of April and continuing to the beginning of May of that year. The incident was a major one, raising different arguments and protests against racial discrimination, a big subject that Malcolm X stood for. This is the reason why the video finds its place in the movie. Also, the incident happened in the spring of 1992, a few months before Malcolm X was released in theaters. Featuring in the film will give the incident more voice and draw wider attention from people worldwide. The video was played as a graphical backup for Malcolm X's strong message against discrimination. The intense speech and the popular video following in the background were deliberate acts of the producer to prepare the minds of the audience for the incident that is captured in the movie. It is more like an introductory summary of the content of the M film. Spike Lee was intentional with every scene in the M film, trying his best to reveal the dark side of history that has characterized the suffering of a vast number of black people at that time and before that time. Number 17. The scene where Betty Shabazz argues with Malcolm. One of the movie's most intense and dramatic scenes was the scene revealing the argument between Betty Shabazz, played by Angela Bassett, and Malcolm X, played by Denzel Washington. The argument circles Malcolm's strong dedication to the Nation of Islam and Elijah Muhammad, the head of the organization. According to the movie, Malcolm devoted so much time to the organization, reducing the time allocated for the family. Also, Betty perceived the organization's belief as too extreme and inordinate. These differences put the couple on different sides, leading to the intense argument. According to the report following it, the highly engaging scene might not be consistent with the real happening. The real wife of Malcolm, Betty Shabazz, expressed her view on the scene, saying that the scene wasn't accurate. She continued by revealing the strong relationship that she shared with Malcolm, a kind of relationship that is so strong and cordial. She admitted that there has never been a time during their marriage when the issue came up, leading to raised voices at each other. She always gives her husband the support he desires in every decision. She believed her husband was wise and capable of making decisions favorable for the family. The argument scene was just an improvised part of the story to add more drama to the movie. Reports have revealed that Betty was an extraordinary woman who supported her husband in almost everything, but not everything. There were a few times when arguments ensued. Malcolm himself revealed one of those moments in his autobiography. He said, "The only time we ever argued was once. So when did it happen?" He said that Betty accused him of not putting aside enough money for their rapidly growing family, which consisted of 4 daughters. That is a good reason to argue. A woman's duty entails assuring the welfare of the home. Strangely, Betty never talked about that during his response. Perhaps she forgot. Number 16. Marvin Worth knew Malcolm X in real life. Malcolm X's story was valuable. Getting the right to tell the story comes with a big challenge. The family is careful about releasing the right to narrate the story of their legendary son. The reason is not rocket science. The story getting into the hands of a quack producer can bring cracks to the legacy of the legend. Surprisingly, Marvin Worth, against all odds, was able to acquire the rights to tell Malcolm X's story in 1967. The groundbreaking achievement was due to the proven connection to Malcolm X. When he was alive, he respected him and gave excellent value to his story. Observing this valuable trait, the family gave him the go-ahead to work on the legend story. However, getting approval for the story didn't provide automatic success. After getting the rights, it took another 20 years of working with the story and developing several screenplays before it ended up in the movie. Within this long period, Worth worked on the production of a documentary narrating the life experience of Malcolm X. The documentary gained wide reception among viewers, earning him an Oscar nomination. Following the documentary's success was the commissioning of numerous screenplays, including one by David Mamet. The screenplay drew the attention of various movie producers. Among them was Eddie Murphy. It was recorded that he was interested in the screenplay, but the interest didn't transform into action until Spike Lee appeared. Spike saw the potential in the story's success. Hence, he dedicated his time to reading the different screenplays taken from the story. After checking through all of them, he chose the first one, written by James Baldwin. That was a wise choice, looking at the resulting success that followed. Number 15. Spike Lee was faced with a serious crisis following his announcement as director. The quest for who would be the director of the Malcolm X movie faced brutal criticism. The first director that was assigned to come on the director board was Norman Jewison. Norman Jewison proved to be fit for the job, looking at his substantial experience and directorial success. Well, to the critics, they have another opinion. Their biggest concern was Jewison's racial background. He is a white director. They believed his racial background would limit his success in portraying the life and legacy of an iconic black figure like Malcolm X. He cannot fully capture the life experience and message of Malcolm X. This message can only be revealed by someone affected by it, a fellow black who can connect to the depth of the message. Therefore, a call for a black director was raised, leading to Spike Lee coming into the picture. Since Lee is a black director, as the people desired and a good one at it, it should translate to automatic acceptance. You will be mistaken to believe that. Spike Lee also has his fair share of extreme criticism. Black nationalists and members of the United Front to preserve the legacy of Malcolm X were worried about the way Lee would express the story of Malcolm X. The group, which poet and playwright Amiri Baraka headed, organized a big protest in Harlem, attracting a crowd of 200 people. After a thorough investigation into the reason for the protest, different points of view were derived. Some hated Lee's previous film, citing that the movie lacked credibility. Another group of people drew their opinion from a religion standpoint. Since Lee is a Christian, he would only focus on Malcolm X's life before he converted to Islam. What was Malcolm X's life before converting to Islam, than a life of crime and incarceration? What value will such a storyline make? Baraka expressed his disgust for Spike, calling him a buppy. He continued his expression saying, "We will not let Malcolm X's life be trashed to make middle-class Negroes sleep easier." He further gave words compelling others to write the director and warn him not to mess up Malcolm's life. This group was acting overprotectively. The arguments are not different from Norman Jewison's. It's always about people who can't accurately portray the story of Malcolm's life, yet they couldn't take on the work and produce what they wanted. Who would be a better person to direct the video? Number 14. Denzel Washington's role as Malcolm X was faced with complaints.
Is he back to work now? Is he in the office? What?
Who knows? Who knows?
It turns out that Spike Lee was not the only one to face severe criticism following their role in the movie. The lead actor, Denzel Washington, also got his turn. They pointed out that Washington's skin tone was too dark to portray Malcolm, who had lighter skin with freckles accurately. This criticism is hilarious considering how ironical it was. The tempting question is, did the critics want an actor who would express the story of Malcolm X, an actor who would come to portray him? Assuming that Denzel is a white man, the argument of a white man not being able to describe a black man's story will ensue, just like they did for Norman Jewison. If Denzel shares the same shade of complexion as Malcolm, they might still complain that he doesn't have the same eyeball color or hair texture. The critics are obsessed people who don't know what they want. The second complaint against Denzel was another level of joke. Some groups complained that Denzel's height was 6 feet 1 inch compared to Malcolm X's 6 feet 4 inches. Should a height difference pose a considerable criticism? Number 13. The scene where Malcolm X rudely declined the offer of a white student. Do you remember the scene where Malcolm X turned down the offer of a white student? The scene was part of the real story of the legendary civil activist. How do you perceive the act? Are you pleased about it, or is the scene displeasing to you? If the scene displeased you, then you are on the same path as Malcolm X. Later in his life, he regretted the action after his exit from the Nation of Islam. He said, "Brother, remember the time that a white college girl came into the restaurant, the one who wanted to help the black Muslims and the whites get together, and I told her there wasn't a ghost of a chance and she went away crying? Well, I've lived to regret that incident. I saw white students helping black people in many parts of the African continent. Something like this kills a lot of arguments. I did many things as a black Muslim that I'm sorry for now. I was a zombie then, like all black Muslims. I was hypnotized, pointed in a specific direction, and told to march. Well, I guess a man's entitled to make a fool of himself if he's ready to pay the cost. It cost me 12 years. Malcolm X dropped the extreme beliefs of the Nation of Islam following his exit from the organization. He realized the enormous hypocrisy shadowing the organization. He saw the imbalance in the system, the reason for his exit, and a reformed mindset. Unfortunately, this new mindset got him in the bad books of his old organization, leading to several threats to his life. At the end, the danger was performed, and the life of the legendary man was cut short in a fatal gunshot during one of his public addresses. Number 12. The permission to film in Mecca. Mecca is one of the few locations in the world where permission to film a movie is hardly granted, especially for a non-documentary movie. But it will surprise you that not only was Malcolm X permitted to film in the Holy Land, but the whole crew, both Muslim and non-Muslim, was given permission. How were they able to achieve this close to impossible feat? Your answer is coming right now. First, you need to know that no American film has been permitted to be filmed in Mecca or within the Haram Sharif. The other movies filmed in Mecca from different countries were documentary films. Why the difficult policy? Indeed, the place is a holy land with many areas that must be kept sacred. Spike Lee tried to find his way around this incredible impossibility. According to the popular saying, "You can never say never." Following the trial, the option of a second unit film crew was given. That means a crew of all Muslims and different from Lee's original crew will do the filming. That option looks good, but Lee wants something more profound. He wants to ensure that the original crew has access to the land. The lead actor, Denzel Washington, must get his script filmed in Mecca just as the original Malcolm did. This demand became a hard nut to crack. However, Lee was too resilient to give up. The issue of getting a filming time in Mecca was not the only challenge. There was another entity acting as a barrier. This entity is Warner Brothers, the studio in charge of financing the project. They told Lee that, in case permission is granted, they are not ready to release the exorbitant funds needed to finance the filming. This new revelation put Lee between two different walls. Even if he breaks through the Mecca wall, what about the finance wall? However, one thing to learn from Lee was his resilience. He was such a director who believed in getting a perfect movie without giving room for compromise. The compromise was for the crew to shoot the Mecca segments in New Jersey, although that is possible where different stimulations, including VFX effects, are put into place to create a make-believe setting. Lee wanted authenticity, something he could confidently speak of, a life-changing experience, and a perfect real representation of the icon, Malcolm X. Lee did not give down on his plan. He kept on pushing. At the end, the breakthrough moment came. Lee broke through the 2 walls of finance and permission in Mecca, allowing him to film the movie in the Holy Land, thereby making history. At the end, the hard work paid off. The movie achieved a wide reception from people and got Lee his first highly successful movie in terms of sales. The truth is, you can never say never. Number 11. Brother Baines was a fictional character. Do you remember Brother Baines, the young man that Malcolm met in prison? As much as you believe he was part of the original story, you are about to get a shocker. Following the unfortunate ending in the local number game with the West Indian Archie, Malcolm engaged in burglary with a group of people, including Sophia, Shorty, and Peg. After making enough money through the criminal acts, they were arrested and convicted of crime. Malcolm was sentenced to 8 to 10 years in prison in 1946. Following the incarceration, Malcolm met Brother Baines, a member of the Nation of Islam, in prison. The young man initiated Malcolm into the teachings of the group's leader, Elijah Muhammad. Malcolm was convinced enough to believe this teaching and grow interested in the Muslim religion. The reason for his firm belief was the group's effort to promote black freedom. Following this new belief, Malcolm developed an intense hatred for white people for mistreating his race. This belief became a seed that gave him a voice worldwide. The transformational power of Brother Baines on Malcolm is phenomenal, but before you get carried away, hear this fact. He is a fictional composite character, another improvisation by the movie producer to create a more dramatic story. According to the autobiography, Brother Baines did not lead Malcolm X to the Nation of Islam, but through his religious brother and sister. No one knows how that played out. It remains a mystery. Number 10. Malcolm X's speeches. Malcolm X's speeches in the movie added another level of authenticity to the film. It will interest you that the movie almost turned down the golden opportunity to use Malcolm X's speeches. How strange will that sound? Lee finds the new development another challenge, similar to the Mecca permission issue. He did not back down likewise. He arranged meetings with every stakeholder involved in deciding to release the speeches. After several meetings and pleadings, permission was granted, accounting for another winning moment for Spike Lee. Later, after the movie was filmed entirely, he wrote that making the movie without the speeches would be comparable to making an Elvis biopic without any Elvis songs. You can figure out what that imbalance will look like. A big thumbs up for Spike Lee for pushing through another barrier in producing a more realistic movie. Number 9. The Fruit of Islam provided security for the movie. The extreme reality that surrounded the story of Malcolm X did not end with him. There were still organizations with extreme beliefs ready to raise any chaos when the subject of Malcolm was raised again. We discussed the extreme protest following the decision to make Spike Lee the movie's director earlier in the video, including the strange complaints from different fanatics and eccentric followers. Working around such a volatile situation without getting security is equivalent to acting carelessly. The Fruit of Islam, the defense arm of the Nation of Islam, provided the security for the movie. They were responsible for procuring security during filming around the risky neighborhood where conflict could arise. This was not the first time the defense group worked with Spike Lee. He had a previous work relationship with them during Do the Right Thing in 1989. The filming occurred in the Bed-Stuy neighborhood, a highly concentrated location of the Nation of Islam believers. The defense arm got him the desired protection, as they did for the Malcolm X movie when filming again in the neighborhood. Number 8. The funny response of Spike Lee. To the movie challenge just now, the challenges surrounding the filming of the movie were discussed. It is not off topic to get a fearful response from Spike Lee after these challenges. Spike Lee revealed during the DVD audio commentary that when the movie was released, he and Denzel Washington had their passports handy in case they needed to flee the country. Such a funny comment, but it is not an unfounded truth. During filming the movie, several scary threats were coming against the director and lead actor, some of them bordering on the suitability of the two men working on the movie, while some were against their religions. The threat revealed that some members supporting Malcolm X are irrational in their thinking. You don't joke with any possibilities in such a situation. The story of Malcolm X is another proof to consider. Fortunately, after the movie's release, no threatening pressure was recorded. Everything went fine. Number 7. What about having Alex Haley as a character? Before answering the question, we need to know who Alex Haley was. Haley was Malcolm X's biographer. Spike Lee believed putting up Haley as a character in the movie would give more depth to the movie's narration. Who did Lee have in mind to take the role? According to the early screenplay draft where Haley was featured as a character, Spike Lee intended to feature Eddie Murphy to take the role. Murphy was consulted and considered the offer until he came across Sidney Poitier, whom he told about the offer. He said, "Yeah, I'm considering playing Alex Haley." Here comes Sidney Poitier's phenomenal reply, "You are not Denzel, and you are not Morgan. You are a breath of fresh air." The advice was strong enough to take Murphy's mind off the idea. Number 6. You could have seen Regina King in the movie. It turns out that Eddie Murphy wasn't the only one who got off the cast list. Do you know Regina King? The award-winning actress is known for her versatility in playing diverse roles in film and television. You could have seen her in the movie. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. According to the report, her audition was unsuccessful. Addressing The Hollywood Reporter, she revealed that the experience was the worst audition of her career. Perhaps the reason for her failure was her age and experience, as at that time she was just in her early 20s, although she already had a career breakthrough in the sitcom 2027, playing Brenda Jenkins. However, the experience is not enough to pull her through the audition. Years later, King has become a strong force in Hollywood, landing her first directorial career in 2020 with the film One Night in Miami. Number 5. Why the similarities between Malcolm X and Goodfellas? If you watch the 1990 movie Goodfellas, produced by Martin Scorsese, you will observe the striking resemblance between the two movies. Whether Lee deliberately copied the style or it was a ripoff will almost come to your mind. It wasn't a situation of copying, but more or less like following the master step. Spike Lee was one of Martin Scorsese's students at New York University, learning how to direct movies from the movie legend. So, following the steps of the master is not bad. Let's take a look at the similarities that the two films shared. The first similarity is the nature of the two movies, which are both autobiographies. Having this exact nature, they could share a similar style. The films used voice-over narration and freeze frames, in addition to voice-over at some point. Also, the opening of both movies was a blend of credits and a scene. The same style of using flashbacks to reveal the lead character's past was used, with some scenes repeated at times. To crown it all, they are also from Warner Brothers Studios and share the same screen ratio. What a semblance. Number 4. Investigating Malcolm X's precious workplace. The movie producer believed that unearthing some stories attached to Malcolm X would give them a clearer perspective of the legend. Doing this, they contacted the Valley Railroad in Essex, Connecticut, where Malcolm X worked as a porter on the New Haven Railroad. They wanted to get the rail equipment used by Malcolm X featured in the movie. Surprisingly, they got something bigger. It was revealed that Malcolm X worked on a coach that had just been obtained from a train collector in Stonington, Connecticut. What a coincidence. The coach has lain in the backyard of the institution for decades after different remodeling sessions. This proved to be a perfect relic of the old legend. The revelation motivated the production team to shoot some scenes in Essex, Connecticut, also taking several coaches to New York City for filming. Following the filming, the coaches were given considerable recognition and have become a first-class parlor car on the Essex steam train. You can have a first-hand experience of the Great Republic coach, as it was named. Number 3. The paid but never seen actor. Talk about earning free money, William Fichtner comes into view. Even though the movie faced serious financial challenges, we have William Fichtner getting paid for a role in the film and not making an appearance. You would wonder why such an occurrence, call it grace or disappointment. The word disappointment will be the perfect word. Along the line, during filming, the production team realized that his service was no longer needed, since many volunteers were factored in to appear in the movie. Perhaps his role was one of the roles given out. Number 2. There could have been a different title for the movie. What about the movie being titled Any Means Necessary? Does that look odd? Well, if not for the last, you could have gotten a film with such a boring title. Minute changes. According to a 1992 article that revealed Lee's traveling to South Africa and also talked about the importance of including some scenes set in the township of Soweto, the popular birthplace of many notable South African freedom fighters. The articles also gave a reference to the proposed title. There were many options to improve the movie, but time and finances imposed a significant limitation. What do you think of the proposed title? Number 1. Things Denzel did to mirror the true Malcolm X. Every movie involves significant changes on the part of the actor. Many actors have gone bald, shaving off their hair to mirror their given character. Some reduce their weight, some build muscle, and a whole other uneasy modification is put in place to fit in. Denzel Washington has his story to share in this regard. The talented actor ditched eating pork. Missing the long-time tempting delicacy was a big sacrifice. That was not the only thing he did to fit in. He also had to attend Fruit of Islam classes and learn Lindy Hop, which was not easy either. The height was that Denzel got so absorbed with the Malcolm X character that he knew the different pairs of glasses the legend wore daily. He didn't need the hand of movie extras to get that done. How remarkable. There are other remarkable facts in the video. Get to the comment to tell us the particular one. Like and share the video, subscribe, and click the following video on your screen.